Hi everyone, this is a test recording using an app called Explain Everything on the iPad, although I believe it's also available on Android. This is a little activity I'm doing for the instructional design for mobile learning MOOC, and what I thought I'd do is just talk through some of the aspects of a particular professional development session I did with some graduate associates a couple of weeks ago, which looked at some of the apps that you could use for personal and professional development. So I've not used Explain Everything before. I'm trying to do this recording on the iPad, and there'll be probably some glitches as we go. But anyway, so the first slide I talked about with the graduate associates was how we are witnessing quite a rapid change in terms of the devices that we're using for learning, and this graph illustrates that quite nicely. So this is tablet ownership over time between 2010 and 2013, and you can see there's been a massive increase in tablet ownership. I think that's in Britain anyway. The UK, I think it was a study done recently where they were suggesting that now half of every UK household has a tablet computer. And if you look at, in terms of a forecast, if you look at the kind of growth of tablets versus PCs, this is quite a commonly used graph, isn't it? Used to show how tablets will probably overtake the use of PCs, certainly in terms of access to the web, within the next couple of years or so. This shows our virtual learning environment at Southampton Solent University in terms of access via device, and you can see there that predominantly mobile devices that are accessing our virtual learning environment are iOS devices, iPhone and iPad, but Android devices are increasing as well, and there's a significant number of those spread across different devices, and also Windows devices as well are on the increase, but still predominantly iOS devices that students are using. This shows the number of apps. I think this has increased even more. This was about a year ago, just over 1 million, about 1 million and 1.2 million for iOS apps on the Apple App Store, and 1.3 million for Google Play apps. And Windows Phone Store, 300,000. I'm sure all of those figures are slightly dated, so they're probably increasing all the time. This was a video that I took. Now, I've no idea whether it's actually going to play within this presentation. I suspect not, sadly. So we'll have to move on to the next slide. And this is where I talk to the graduate associates about the kind of aspects of their digital skills that apps could be used for. So I talked through, their personal productivity, the way they collaborate with their peers, the way they use social media such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Apps for being creative, apps for presenting information, for engaging their audience, for building a mobile CV or portfolio, apps for reading and apps for note-taking. So we looked at lots of different apps spread across each of those areas. I also tried to incorporate a little quiz into this presentation as well, so I got them to identify that they may have seen just by looking at their icon. So the icon is top right of the slide, and they have to kind of guess what app it is. So that first one, for example, is the Google Drive app. So we talked about apps for productivity. We talked about Dropbox, using Dropbox for file sharing. We talked about using Evernote for note-taking and sharing. We talked about apps such as Hootsuite, Buffer for collaboration and social media, and also Pinterest. We talked about the growth of creative apps, particularly I think on iOS. I think iOS tends to have at the moment the lead in terms of apps for creating content rather than just consuming content. I'm sure that will change, but at the moment, if you look at apps like Paper or iMovie or GarageBand, you can do a lot of creative stuff on iOS devices. Presentation apps are really popular now. You look at Prezi, obviously you've got Prezi for the desktop, but you've also got apps like Haiku Deck and Keynote for mobile devices, which are really rich, engaging presentation apps. Apps for engaging your audience. Nearpod is being used extensively in classrooms, as is Socrative, which we've used on this particular MOOC. Trying to think what the app that is. Top right, the icon. I think it's Show Me or something, or Hands Up or something like that. Then we've got apps for building CVs or building portfolios. There's a nice one called Shine for iPad, Super Resume Builder for Android. So people are now using mobile devices for building their CV or their resume. Reading apps, the big two, of course, are Kindle and iBooks. There's lots of others. And note-taking, there's apps such as Simple Note and Notability, or OneNote is obviously very good for note-taking as well. And that's it. That's the end of this presentation. I hope it's worked.